Suge Knight played a pivotal role in one of the most important hip-hop movements of all time.
100%.
It wouldn't have been Death Row without Suge Knight heading it up. It would have been something different. It would have been Aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
But he brought that tension, that danger.
Listen, we ain't taking nothing from him, man. Like, look, it is what it is. I ain't got nothing, against him. These are the questions I want to ask. These are the questions that I felt like niggas want to know. I felt like if I had the opportunity to speak to him, you got the opportunity to speak to certain people, you want to ask them the tough questions. Like, what else I'm going to ask him?
Right.
What else I want to talk to him about?
Yeah, no, because, I am now thinking up questions. They want me to run the questions by him first. Right, probably learning from you.
Probably because of me.
You messed it up for everybody. And now I'm thinking, well, okay, those two questions are,
You wanted to ask those?
I did it, but when I heard them, I'm like, well, those are two good questions. Those are great questions.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Those are good questions.
Those are great questions. Listen,
damn.
As an interviewer, I always tip my hat to people in my craft.
Indeed.
See what I'm saying? Like, I probably wouldn't have thought of those two questions to ask. But when I read them, because I had those questions already in my notes when you said them, I remember going like, wow, those are great questions. Bravo to Maino for asking it. And
oh man,
I guess those are two questions I shouldn't include in my list of questions when I send to him.
Yeah, it might
because
piss him right off.
Those are probably
he might be like, he might
scrap the whole interview.
He might get crazy like he got on me. Like, what you be in L.A.? Where you be in L.A.? Where you be out in L.A.?
Yeah, I mean, Suge is still Suge. I think Suge will be Suge to his final
100%.
I don't think Suge will ever cooperate in the Tupac murder because actually a couple days ago, Keefe D was denied his motion to dismiss the whole trial.
Is he still in the jail?
Right
now.
Did
he bail out?
No, he didn't bail out.
Oh, okay.
Wack 100 actually tried to bail him out. And what was crazy was on my show, Wack just brought up that he's going to bail Suge out. I didn't even ask the question. He brought it up because, I'm going to bail him out and we're going to work on some content, maybe do a series or whatever else. At the bail hearing, they played that interview in court and used it as a reason not to allow Wack 100 to bail him out, even though Wack allegedly had the money already put aside. And no one really understands why, because Keefe hasn't been convicted yet. So therefore, what's wrong with him doing some content if he's on bail? Right? There's no Son of Sam law that should apply to this.
Right.
He hasn't been convicted.
Right. I get it.
So if the guy that's putting up the bail wants to make some of that money back by shooting some interviews with him,
they should allow that.
What's the problem?
Right.
But apparently that bail got denied. Someone else came in and tried to bail him out, and apparently that got denied as well. And what's really crazy, though, because when I read through this article, he tried to say that he was given, a proffer agreement or immunity or something to that sense, which is why he said everything he said.
He thought he had immunity.
But Las Vegas is saying there's no immunity in Las Vegas, and they can't find any immunity deals even with other organizations.
He thought he had that, though.
He thought he had that.
Right.
And when I interviewed the cop that gave him that, the cop said that.
Who's that? Greg Kading?
Greg Kading.
Right.
Greg Kading said that he gave him a proffer agreement if he cooperated, but apparently they can't find the paperwork for this proffer agreement.
Really?
That's what they're saying. It's kind of wild.
You think Greg Kading basically told him, look, man, we're going to give you immunity? You think he really told him that?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I do.
That's why they act like they can't find it.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, and Greg even talked about this.
The way he was out here talking, he definitely had to believe that.
Listen, Greg Kading put Keefe on a plane wearing a wire to come out here.
Indeed. I seen that.
To try to set up
Zip,
Eric Von Zip.
Yeah.
It didn't work. Now, Keefe, Von Zip was a little too slick for that, right? Keefe said that never happened. I remember Greg actually sent me copies of the plane tickets with his name on it. Keefe tried to say he was never in Las Vegas during the whole Pac shooting, and they found hotel bookings, like in his wife's name and stuff like that. Listen, I don't know, man. I felt okay to interview him because he had a book out that was on Amazon. So I just went through the book, piece by piece.
Wow.
And he was willing to talk about it. He did like 5, 6 other interviews.
So you interviewed him based on the book that was already made?
Yes.
It was already published?
Yes.
It was already out?
There's a link to it in the description of every video.
So did they bring up his book in court too?
I believe so, yeah.
So he wasn't supposed to do no talking about it at all?
From what I understood about proffer agreements, if there indeed was one, another word for proffer agreement is queen for a day. The day part is very important in that statement because that day you could tell him everything. You could tell him about all the people you killed, all the women you raped, all the bombs you set off, whatever
Calls
else.
on that
But the
rape
next
shit.
day, if you repeat that to someone else, you can get prosecuted for all that. But that day, you could tell him everything without self-incriminating yourself.
Right.
Because of that immunity.
So that's what he had?
That's what him and Greg Kading both said that he had.
So maybe he just didn't understand.
Or maybe it wasn't really, maybe Greg was just bluffing. Maybe it was like a handshake deal where...
But even if he gave him that deal, he still wasn't supposed to go out and talk about it, right?
That's
regardless. If he had
that is what I've always heard.
Right.
That's what I've always heard. And from my point of view, because once Greg left the force, but by the way, like when Keefe was admitting to everything, Greg secretly recorded him. They had like a little pen recorder or something that it was done like in a lawyer's office, but Keefe didn't know he was being recorded. After Greg left the force, he then released those audio tapes. And I think because of those tapes getting released, Keefe felt like he somehow needed to defend himself and tell his side of the story.
So those tapes is where he's talking about the whole incident with Tupac.
Yeah. But if those tapes just got released and Keefe never said another word, I don't think Las Vegas would have
because he would have never spoke about it if the tapes never came out. Wow. That's crazy.